Are you a student, mentor, or parent that loves robotics? Then you're in the right place. Up-to-date info on all things robotics. This is the Robozone Podcast with your host, Pete Ekman. The Robozone Podcast is brought to you by Kettering University. It's a Kettering-built world.
Hello and welcome to the episode of the Robozone Podcast. This podcast is for Tuesday, October 3rd. In this podcast, we're going to listen to a briefing from Brandi Bollinger out of 2337, the EngiNerds from Grand Blanc. She was gracious enough, along with her co-head mentor, Clinton Bollinger, at Kettering Kickoff to give a couple instructional seminars a couple weeks ago. So we set up a camera. We taped those seminars. This is the first episode of one of those seminars in a set of 3. This one's covering creating success in your FRC team. So I hope you enjoy this. Get ready, get your favorite drink, get your favorite snack. But before we listen to the seminar, we're going to hear from our second sponsor.
The Robozone Podcast is brought to you by AndyMark.com. Your robot parts experts.
I'm Brandi Bollinger. I am co-head mentor for the EngiNerds.
I'm Clinton Bollinger. I'm also the co-head mentor.
First presentation that I put together, I've titled Creating Success for Students and Mentors, Why Chasing Perfection Will Lead You to Success. So one thing that we talk about a lot on the EngiNerds is success, right? And I'll get into a little bit more about what success looks like to us and how we achieve our success. But the thing that we need to keep in mind from the very beginning is that success looks different to every single person. Success looks different to every single team. So how can you take what your team needs and what your team has the resources to do and make it the most successful program that you can for you? So some of you guys already heard this a little bit about the EngiNerds. So I am the lead team organization and public relations mentor. I handle all of our awards applications, all our agendas, all of our planning, all of those kind of things. And
it's mainly her presentation, not mine, but
I know who you are.
I cover all the robot-related things: pit, field coach, all that kind of stuff, engineering, ordering of parts, that kind of stuff. So basically, with the two of us, we're polar opposites in every bit of way, but that's actually what allows for us to do the things that we do and support each other more or less.
I agree. So the EngiNerds just finished our 10th season, which is kind of unbelievable to me that we've been doing this for 10 years. We've had an entire decade of impact in Grand Blanc Community Schools. We started with about 23 students on our team the first year. The most amount of students we've had on our varsity FRC team is 40. We have about 2,700 kids at Grand Blanc High School, just to give you kind of a scope of what we're dealing with there. So now we actually run from December to May. We run the FRC team, which is our varsity team. Our students at Grand Blanc High School can actually earn their varsity letter in robotics at Grand Blanc. And then from May to November, we run 6 junior varsity VEX EDR teams. So we meet year-round on the EngiNerds. During FRC build season, we're there approximately 48 hours a week scheduled. And then whatever people come early, people stay late. Ends up to be a little bit more than that. And then during VEX season, we meet 2 days a week for 2 hours a night. So then some on weekends, depending on different competitions and what else we have going on. So that's what we do. So again, I will stress throughout this whole entire presentation, just because the EngiNerds do it does not mean that I'm saying you should do this. Because each team has its own unique set of resources and abilities, 32 scheduled hours. So take everything that I say with a grain of salt and try to adapt it to your own team. Okay? So, a little bit about this picture here. It's been one of our team's goals for a really long time to win the Michigan State Championship. And there's teams in this room who have won the Michigan State Championship or done really well or been finalists at the Michigan State Championship. But it's been one of our goals for a long time to win the Michigan State Championship. So we set out this year with a lot of our strategy dictates design ideas. And we were actually able, through a lot of hard work, a lot of awesome strategy on Clint's part, to win our division at the Michigan State Championship this year. And then we were quarterfinalists.
Yeah, they keep raising the bar, so now we have to raise our bar of what we need to go after next year. So.
We can't just win states anymore. We have to win a division and then go on to win states. So the team that won, phenomenal. We faced against the Bees. That was phenomenal. So this is something that we're really proud of this year. And now we have one, like Clint said, we have one more bar to raise to try to hope to achieve even a little bit more success next year. All right, so why should I care? Why should you even be sitting here listening to me right now? Obviously, you came here on your own free will, so that's good. But mentors, setting expectations for your students and your parents, they'll strive to meet them. If you tell your students that you want them to achieve something, or you're giving them the opportunities to achieve something, they're going to want to do it, or at least most of them will. The students, especially the students that you have on your team that are your core group of students, they want to do awesome things. They want to achieve things. They want the best robot. They want the best PR or chairmans or outreach. And it's your job to prepare that for them, to provide them with opportunities and resources so that they can achieve that. Students, your parents and your mentors, they're trying to do great things for you. It's your responsibility to take them. You can only lead a horse to water, right? So every opportunity that someone gives to you, take it, because you are never going to get this opportunity again. And having the awesome things that First Robotics provides for you is going to be one of the best things that you can do for your life. And then parents, supporting your team's mentors and setting expectations for your children is the best thing that you can do. Speaking as a parent, I know that my son doesn't always want to do everything that I tell him to do. For those of you guys who know Lucas, you know that's really true. But I want to encourage him. And I think that, that is one of the most valuable things that you can do, is encourage them and support the mentors that are on the team that your child is on. Because, how many of you guys are mentors in this room? How many parents, I guess? Non-mentor parents? Also. And then students? Okay. So, a mentor's job is really hard, and it's never ending. I'm getting text messages at all hours of the night, all earlier hours of the morning, all throughout the day, and I dedicate my life to First Robotics and to Effect Robotics, and to provide these opportunities for my students is something that I'm really, really passionate about. So if I get too passionate, just shh me, okay? All right, so this is the EngiNerds motto, if you will. In everything that we do, we always tell our students, when you win, say nothing. When you lose, say even less. So at every event, I make a schedule of all of our students, which I don't think we're going to get into too much. I teach more about that in January. I put this quote on everything that I hand out to all of our students, because winning is really awesome, right? Building robots is awesome. Building robots that win is even more awesome, right? We all can admit to that, right? But it's hard to lose, and losing graciously is even harder than losing. So we tell our students that it's okay to celebrate, and it's okay to be happy of your accomplishments, but there's a gracious way to win and there's a gracious way to lose. So I hope that every EngiNerd that you have ever encountered has displayed this to you, and that maybe you'll think about this, that it will impact you as well. All right, so what is success? We tell our students very, very frequently that luck is something that's handed to you. Luck is something that happens. Luck is when you get a really great match schedule and you're able to win all of your matches even though you didn't score a single point. That's luck. Okay? Success is when you go out onto the field with your robot and you contribute to your alliance and you help that alliance be more successful. Okay? So, things that we found out with success, and again it looks different for every single team, is that if you set clear expectations for your students and your mentors and your parents, they'll meet them. If you maintain those expectations, that's even better for you. If you say to your students, I expect you to do this, and you make sure that they follow through with it, they'll learn to be more responsible, and they'll want to take that a step further. Big thing is iterate, iterate, iterate. Never settle for the first thing that you start with. There's nothing in the first rules that say the robot that you walk into a competition with is the robot you have to walk out with. You are given time in the pits. You are given time between matches. You are given opportunities on the field and opportunities on the practice field to take the robot that your team built and make it better. Not all of us have access to a full field, or to even a partial field, or to the other resources that are here with other teams and the knowledge and skills that other teams can lend you to make yourself more responsible, or more effective as a team. So taking every opportunity to learn is something that is going to lead you to success. All right, so feel free to type in anytime. So the first thing that we do on the EngiNerds to ensure the success of our team is that we designate roles to people. This is sometimes difficult, I will admit to you, because we like to choose the right person for the job. And sometimes it's hard to tell someone that they are not that person. It is difficult to tell someone that they don't get the job that they wanted because they're not the best person for it. So, what?
I was gonna say, I mean, one of the best examples of that is for the drive team. So on our team, in the end, it's my decision of who makes drive team. It's probably the hardest decision I have to make on the team, to be totally honest, is because I have to tell students who've been trying and working to have that role in that position. Some may have been working towards that position for 4 years, and to eventually tell them, I'm sorry, but you're not going to make drive team or something like that. But at the same time, I've had discussions with certain people in this room even about it. It's my job and my responsibility to the team to still pick the right person for that job to ensure the success of the team, right? Just because someone, it can go both ways. Just because someone's there all the time doesn't mean that you just get to drive the robot. And just because you're really good at driving a robot doesn't mean you get to drive the robot either, right? Some of the stuff I personally look for is I think I can coach or train anybody to drive a robot. That doesn't matter. You cannot teach someone to be a leader, to be a role model for the team, work ethic. You can't teach those things. So that's the stuff I'm personally looking for the drive team. But like I said, it's my job, my responsibility to pick the right person for the job, and that goes to the driver, the operator, the human player, and with this year, the pilot, right? So that's a good example where, like I said, it's a really hard thing, and a lot of times what some teams do, some teams will say, well, hey, every competition we're gonna put new people in. This event we're gonna put this person in, this event we're gonna put that person in. And our opinion on that from a competitive standpoint is we want to have consistency. The thing you learn in one match can apply to the next match and the next match and the next match. So if you make it to the World Championship and you have, I think we had like 72 matches under our belt, that driver has had 72 lessons learned, where if you were switching and having a new person every time, they might only have a third of that because they switched out.
You would never think about putting a football player out on the field who didn't come to practice and hasn't learned the plays. Right?
So that's a good example of that, I think, where it's hard. It's one of the hardest things. I've had people cry about it. So.
And for me, it's the same thing with chairmen. So I handle training and working with all of our chairmen's students, and I decide who goes into that room. And sometimes there are people who are really upset that they're not one of our 3 presenters, or they're not the person talking to judges in the pits, or they're not the person doing whatever it is that they wanted to do. And that's difficult sometimes, but you have to look for the sustainability of your team. Success is a lot about sustainability. Students are only on the team for 4 years. And while this program is for them, 100% for them, if you don't put the right people on the job, your team will not be sustainable for even 4 years. When you want to be around for 10 years or 20 years, you have to make sure that you are putting the right people on the job and then training people to replace them once they're gone. You might need a school official, school liaison. We have a school liaison for our team who helps us handle a lot of our paperwork at the school. She disperses medicine, a lot of things that Clinton and I don't have to do because she is a school employee. We are actually not school employees. Then you have your project-specific mentors. So if you're looking for someone to do your machining, to work with your lead mechanical students, your lead electrical students, your lead programming students, to assign a person who you know is going to be responsible, interacts well with students, those kind of things. Sometimes those people just fall into place. On our team, it's kind of like, you will say, an ebb and flow. They just kind of mesh together and people find their place. There has been opportunity or times where we've had to ask mentors to leave our team because of their attitude towards students. Maybe they're a really great engineer, but they're not a great teacher.
Mentor.
So if they're not a good teacher, they're not really a great mentor, right? So there have been opportunities for us to gain people to replace them, but sometimes from a mentor standpoint, that's really hard. And same thing with parents. If you've got parents who are fulfilling roles that maybe they're not right for the job, or maybe they're not representing your team in the way that you would like your team to be represented, it's an unfortunate circumstance that you do have to face sometimes. but you need to. Student leadership is another big thing. On the EngiNerds, we have our team broken down into 16 subsections. Yeah.
I have a quick question about what you were just talking about. What if some of your board members need to be replaced, but
Like
we're
your-
not on the board to
Your
replace?
school board? Okay.
No, your boosters
We
club.
have a booster board.
For your team? So we can,
I will get into that. I have a whole section on parent contracts that we make all of our parents that are on our team sign, and if they're in violation of the ethos of our team, then they can be suspended from the team. My advice is, my personal advice.
well, real quick, the way we describe our team is a democratic dictatorship. Okay, so everyone has a say, they can say what they want, and they can give suggestions and ideas. But at the end of the day, myself and Brandi are the ones that make the decision.
Do you have a boosters club?
Yes, we do.
Well, we do not have one in the way that you guys have one, it sounds like.
Depends on
Sounds like
whether
you
or
have a
not.
board that you have to address and answer to, is that correct?
Yes, but we need to start all
So,
over again.
well.
So we have a registered booster club, similar to like a PTO or
We call it the PRO.
the Parent
The
Robotics.
Parent
Organization.
Robotics Organization, the Pro EngiNerds, right? So that's what we call ours. Ours, and when we set it up, we defined it as the role and responsibility of the Pro is to support the mentors and head mentors in the success of the team. So one of the things that we do at our Pro meetings is we have a treasurer's report. The treasurer report basically lists the money that the team has coming in and out, but is also understood in that same basically contract, if you will, or guidelines, bylaws, that the Pro has no control over the money, actually. Myself and Brandi are the ones that decide what events we go, how our money is spent. But what we do is we're transparent with our Pro so that they know that myself and Brandi aren't going on these amazing cruises with the team's money, right? We want to be transparent to our team and our parents and everything like that. But they're there to support our team, and I think she gives into...
Is that stuff you could like email us so we can kind of go along?
I'll show you. So all of the documents that I'm going to talk about are all public on the EngiNerds website. You can go on the EngiNerds website and get them right now. These presentations are not up there yet, because I'll be honest, I just finished them on the way here. All of the documents that we're going to be talking about are available.
And that's where the non-mentor parents, that's where we try to get them involved with. Am I stealing some of your thunder from your other slides?
I
Sorry.
don't talk about the Pro.
Okay, so and one of the big things for our Pro is we have a banquet every year. That is probably the number one thing the Pro does for us. Is myself and Brandi, we say, we're not planning the banquet. We don't want anything to do with it. We want to show up. We'll give out the awards for the students for academic, all that kind of stuff, but we're not planning it. So they get money. They have a budget that they're given from the team that comes out of team fees and everything to cover for the food, and they do a t-shirt design, and they handle all of that. They also handle our fundraising, so they're in charge of trying to figure out what fundraisers they're going to do to try to help the team. But I would say probably
It's
85%.
PTO for the robotics.
Yeah, but 85% of our money does not come from fundraisers. It comes from partnerships with sponsors. Right? So, yeah.
So we do, Grand Blanc Community Schools fundraising policies, we are given 2 fundraisers per organization per year. So the robotics team, we are a registered club. I don't know if that's on here or not. We are a registered club through Grand Blanc Community Schools. Then our Pro is a registered booster organization, just like football boosters or band boosters or PTO or whatever else. They also get 2 fundraisers. So what we do each year is we say 2 of the fundraisers will go to students to help them reduce their costs to be on the team. 2 of the other fundraisers, if the Pro would like to run their own fundraisers, they decide where that money goes, whether they want
to play.
What?
You are paid to play.
Yeah, there's fees to be on. Well,
So our fee to be on our team, I don't get into this, is $325 to be on the EngiNerds. That covers their students' uniform. It covers meals at 3 competitions, hotels at 2 competitions, travel to and from each event because our school does not provide funding for us or busing or transportation for us. We have to cover that ourselves. It covers the banquet at the end of the year, covers everything, every single dollar that a child will need up through the Michigan State Championship.
Now, does that change if your fundraising amounts exceed?
no.
Nope.
So what we do is we create a budget for an individual student. We're going to go to, if we're going to travel to multiple events, We'll figure out hotel costs, averages. We put in a little float, like $15 or something like that. Food costs, estimations for the state championships, uniforms, banquet. We do all that for a budget for a specific student of what it would take. So all the money that a student pays is paying for that student's stuff,
Sure.
right?
And now do you take all the kids to all the events?
All of them are all invited to all of the events, whether or not they choose to come.
So something like reasons why we do certain the way. So what happens is February, second week in February, the money that the students pay goes in the general fund. It's not in an individualized thing. It's done.
Sure.
It is not yours that you pull out of as you go, right? We had a situation back in like 2009 why we set it up this way. I was talking about it at the beginning. But anyways, so when that money goes out, then at that point, all the people that made the team paid and everything, you're good to travel. So you travel. If you decide not to go, I'm sorry, the funds dedicated that we still had to reserve that hotel for 4 people, and there's 3 people in that room. We still have to pay for that. So we don't give any credit backs or stuff like that. Most fundraisers go to the individual. So you sell 5 pizzas at $5 a piece, you get $25 off your fee. It goes towards you. The team doesn't take any cuts of that towards the team.
So the fee itself does not get reduced. The amount that the student contributes to their account via fundraising increases.
Yeah. They don't have to pay in as much. And then we do a payment plan. So we do it like set up a once a month, $100, and then
it's like 4 months.
Yeah, the final day you got to give the rest or whatever, or you pay all at one chunk. And we did that to help teams or parents and students who struggle financially.
Sure.
We've also had situations where certain students can't afford it, and we have ways on our team to address that issue.
Sure.
But that's a individual basis. Yeah, we don't advertise it. Yeah, so none of our students are here. None of our students know that it exists. Eventually, we'll just talk to the individual, and we basically say
we don't want somebody to not be on your team.
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then additionally, to combat that, each year on our team, our students have to go through a training process, which I'll talk about in a little bit, and they have to create a SMART goal. So, is it sustainable? Is it timely? The SMART goal process like they use in industry and stuff. And one of our students actually came up with the fact that there were students who couldn't afford to be on the team, and she founded a scholarship program. And we now have funds in our scholarship program that are donated. She contacted alumni and got alumni contributions. She contacted some other individuals and got families to contribute. She talked to students who are graduating and asked them if they have, if you've got $8 extra in your account at the end of the year, can we put that in the scholarship fund? So now that our team's policy is basically when a person graduates, they can either choose to donate the money to our general fund to buy tools and things that we need, or to donate it to the scholarship fund. And it was a student who did all of this.
And if we do make it to the championship, there is an additional fee to that to go to the World Championships, because it increases a lot. It'll be maybe less this year because of Detroit. We still have to go through all that budget.
We still have to get a hotel. We still have to get down there.
Most years it's been, once we made it to the World Championship, typically the Sunday after states, we have a meeting and say you have to put, I think it's $250 down tonight, saying that you're going to go. And it usually ends up being about $500 to $600 per student to go. And what we've been fortunate enough to do is every time we went to the World Championship, we've covered that with fundraising, and the student doesn't have to pay more than the $250.
And we've already booked our hotels for Detroit and that, but we got to talk to them and get that whole time frame thing taken care of.
Yeah.
So who manages all these numbers? So you've got the money coming in.
We have a treasurer. We have one treasurer that's part of our pro.
And they handle so they're part of your group plus the pro.
Yes.
It's a mentor who is on the pro board. So our pro board consists of 5 chairs. Clinton and I share a chair as the head mentors. Our treasurer, our secretary, our president, and our vice president. 5 chairs. So our treasurer has always been a mentor.
Rochelle was never really a mentor.
I guess.
She was the wife of a mentor, and she's been doing
her son was on
treasury for a long time.
So now we've kind of made it that the president, vice president, and secretary need to be non-mentor parents. The mentor or the secretary is usually, the treasurer is usually a mentor, and then Clinton and I share one seat.
Yeah.
So that's.
And what we do, we just use Excel. We have ins and outs for donations, fees. Each student has their own student account, basically their own tab in that Excel document.
It's not an actual
You
student
just need
account.
somebody, I'm just asking, what do you mean, you need somebody to
Yes.
manage
Yes,
that?
absolutely.
Yep.
Solely,
Yep.
So that's all she
Because
does.
for 40 people, that's a lot
Yeah.
of stuff going on.
Yeah, and the money coming out, so like we need to know, hey, that fundraiser went to that person and it gets
Right.
reduced, they still owe this much. She does a great job making little letters, and everything's private
Nice,
too,
yeah.
so that we put in a letter and hand to the person how much you owe, we don't like share it like.
And the
well,
only people that have access to the
the three of
information
us.
is the three of us and then our school liaison if she needs it or whatever.
Yeah, but
But she's another longtime mentor.
Yeah, she's been with us since the beginning.
Tony? Or
Um,
you're talking about our treasurer,
our
you're talking about our
school
treasurer or
liaison,
school
I'm
liaison?
talking about the treasurer.
Treasurer,
She's been around since 2013, so.
Is it 13? Yeah. So, but the other one was around the beginning, so the other one wanted to quit, and so we kind of had to switch.
Right.
and stuff.
2012.
Yeah. Anyways.
So, anyway.
No one likes that job.
No. So one thing that we found out about assigning responsibilities is the best way to inspire people is to give them a job. Because you always have that first year student on your team, whether they're a freshman or a senior, that has no idea what they want to do on the team. All they know is robotics is really cool. So having jobs assigned to them is really important for us because the most amount of learning takes place in a conducive learning environment. My background's in education. I actually teach preschool. For those of you guys who don't know what I do, on top of working at the robot space, I also teach camps there. So I found through my background in education and my experience with working with the students, I found that working with elementary students and working with high school students is really, really similar because some are children and some like to act like children. So the thing that I challenge every single one of our students and our mentors and our parents with on our team is I ask them, how can you personally contribute to making our team more effective? What can you do to make our team better? And challenging people with this personally makes a huge difference. If you just kind of make like this general statement of, hey, our team needs to get better, nobody's going to do anything. But if you look at them and you say, what can you do to help our team? And we have moms who are like, well, I have a Cricut at home, I can make decorations. And we're like, great, do something with that. One year, a parent decorated all of our students' lockers before we went to the Michigan State Championship. Like they do for sports and things. The robotics team got that. And you would not believe how much that meant to those students, right? So we have mentors who I say, what can you do to help? And one of them says, well, I'm kind of really great at like planning and stuff. I can plan out our season and get you a Gantt chart. And I'm like, I don't know what that is, but it sounds awesome. Let's do it. And then you've got people who are engineers and skilled laborers who have amazing things that they can contribute to your team. So finding out what those people are good at and what they're passionate about is essential to the success of your team.
A lot of times, during the beginning of the season, field elements are a big one, where we might have, parents that want to help the team, but they don't know how, but they'll help build field elements and stuff like that. So they don't want to be there for the whole time to build a robot, but they'll be there for like 1 or 2 weekends to build the field elements. So that's always a good one where, they say, hey, I got a couple, table saws and stuff like that I can bring in and I can make these pieces if you give me the prints. And so that's kind of a nice spot where you can kind of not fill a void, but like they don't need to commit to the 32 hours a week that we put in as other mentors. So.
And one thing that we always say on the EngiNerds is that you have to be able to take up the trash before you can be a leader. Students in high school really like to have those glory jobs. They like to be the robot driver. They like to be in the pit crew. But we say we want those students on our team who aren't afraid to be the one to pick up the dirty bag of trash and take it out to the dumpster, because they're the people that other students on our team should want to be like. That do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, not just because they want to receive the glory.
Quickest way not to make the drive team is if you leave the back room trashy or there's trash sitting by the door and you don't take care of it. That's the quickest way, and you walk over it. That's the quickest way, in my opinion, to get knocked off my list.
I have a tendency to like tie the trash bag up and put it like in the doorway. You guys have been to Premiere, right?
Yeah.
So we have our team meets in the attic of a machine shop in an upstairs area, and you have to go up this like flight of what's there, like 20 stairs, Jeremy, and the walkway is like this wide. I put like a bag of trash at the top of the stairs. So you cannot get to where our team eats unless you either move the trash bag or take care of it. And you would not believe the number of people that move the trash bag or step over the trash bag.
And then usually, honestly, someone from the drive team's like, guys, they've been trying to tell you to take out the trash. Why aren't you taking this out?
Mm-hmm.
Like, fine, I'll take it.
So,
Anyways.
So that's something that we kind of use as a not kind of so subtle challenge on our team. Who will take out the trash and who won't take out the trash, which sounds actually, kind of stupid.
2010, we had a student who was just hovering around the programmers and the drivers. I probably can't even redo the statements that I said at that moment. I think there was our pizza from lunch sitting there, and I made some comment along this lines like, if you can't take out the trash, you can't drive the robot. And then, was it 3 years later, he actually ended up making the drive team. So it clicked to him at that moment when we said that like, wow, you're right. Like, I wanted to have that glory job. I wanted to be with the cool kids, but I wasn't able to take those baby steps and learn the rest. So, anyways.
Which might sound like hazing, but really it's not.
It's,
okay.
Yeah.
So what does success look like? If you don't build your own dream, you're going to end up being hired by someone else to build theirs. If you don't say, this is what I'm going to achieve and work to achieve it, you're going to be working to achieve someone else's dream. Okay? The EngiNerds, this is probably the most famous thing that you'll ever hear come out of an EngiNerd's mouth, is that there's no such thing as a final design. You want to?
Yeah, I mean, so this started, we have a design reviews every Monday for our robot, where the students give updates of where they are with the process. And the very common phrase that students said, well, this is the final design of the intake system. And we were like, whoa, what do you mean the final design? Eventually, for a while, we had a post on the wall, and we had like final, and then there was like a cross, there was like, you know, a no smoking but no final sign. And then we started to say there's no such thing as final design. So actually our students start now to more or less call it, you know, production phase, or it's going to production, that kind of stuff. It's going to machining. Because our designs aren't final. I mean, this weekend we added 3 more little pieces of Lexan to our intake mechanism to hopefully prevent these small jams that happen every once in a while. Like, our students, like I said, this robot's probably upwards of in the hundreds now of matches, and they're still making iterations and making stuff better because it's not final, it's not finished, it's not better. If you're not making it better, your robot better itself, everyone else around you is making it and you're falling behind. So, and this applies to anything, right? The status of our team and how we run our team, it's not in its final design. We're always, every year, looking at ways to improve it, to make it better, to continuously improve. Because everything can be made better. It just takes work and effort to do.
Am I boring you so much? Alright, so one thing that we also talk about on our team is, yes, you're going after success, but the only way that you can get to success is by failing. And failing is not the funnest thing. Failing is humbling. Failing is discouraging. Failing kind of sucks, right? But failure is part of success. And the great thing about the fact that no design is ever final, failure is never final either, unless you make it be. So if you want to make it so that failure is not the last thing that you do, you have to be encouraging as a parent, you have to be encouraging as a student, you have to be encouraging as a mentor, and say that this failure is not final. We have to learn why we failed and make it better. We have to find the delta. We can't just always be looking for the thing that is broken or wrong. We have to look for the delta, which is the change. So on the EngiNerds, we focus a lot on deltas. Some of you guys may have been with us while we've done pluses and deltas as the EngiNerds, and it changes people. I mean, it really allows people to look at things instead of a failure, but as an opportunity to make change. If you guys don't know what a delta is, encourage all of your students to go and Google or do a search for what a delta is and how you can make deltas part of your every single day life.
And it just proves how much we're geeks and nerds.
Yes, it's true. It's true. All right, so side effects of success. This is going to be me getting up on my soapbox now. So there'll be doubters and there'll be haters. I promise you. When you start creating a successful program, no matter what you're doing, There's going to be doubters, and there's going to be haters. And then there's going to be you, proving them wrong. Okay? So one conversation that Clinton and I kind of had on the way here when we were talking today are about the not so great things that come with success. And one of the main ones that we talked about were cynics. So within the VERSE community, it's hard work to build a robot. It's hard work to run a successful team. And when you go from being a team that we were in maybe say 2009, where it was a struggle for our team, to running a successful program, at least I like to think we run a successful program as we do now, people look at you and they think that can't possibly be true.
Yeah, the thing that we say, we call them the cynics. It's people that don't know, right? They don't know the time and effort that the students put in, the mentors put in. You know, the common phrase you hear in the community a lot is, "Oh, that's mentor built," you know, and that affects me because like students have put in a lot of time and effort, and that just doesn't do them justice because they spent time on CAD. You know, recutting raw stock, cutting the real stuff. When they did it wrong, they had to do it again, right? And a lot of times it's so easy to more or less judge and kind of have that statement, oh, the students didn't do that. There's no way students did that. That's a common thing to be like, well, you know, if we had GM sponsorship, we'd be set. You know, it's just because they got money. Or, you know, oh, they come from, you know, Grand Blanc, you know, all that kind of stuff. And just because we come from a different socioeconomic, you know, area, doesn't mean that. I mean, we've had students on the team that struggle with getting clothes and stuff like that. Like, so people don't know what other teams go through, and I think it's easier to have people get judged when you have success. Right?
It's easier to judge than it is to understand.
Yeah, but then, you know, a lot of times what we've seen, and like I think there's teams out there that can attest to this, is like for us, at least our situation, when you start hanging out with us and see how we do things, why we do things, and the effort that our team puts in, you can kind of see that it's not just because we have GM sponsorship. We work hard for our partners and sponsors. We work hard on our robot. You know, we're meeting, you know, we say 32-hour scheduled, but it usually gets somewhere around 40 hours a week that our students are putting in, working on the robot, on top of school. Scouting, we spend tons of hours. I mean, we have 3 to 4 students the whole season. What they do is figure out our scouting program and the data we're going to collect and how we're going to collect it and what sheets are going to look at. And they go to Kettering 1 and they do a beta test on our scouting system. Like, they put in lots of effort so that when we get to the Michigan State Championship, we can pick the best 2 teams to ensure that we win our division and that kind of stuff. So, it's going to happen though. Like, I think a long time ago, I think we've gotten it more and more the further we go. But I think it just comes with the territory, and you can't let it bug you or let your students. You know, you got to make sure your students hold their head up high and be like, well, you know, don't say anything, just prove them wrong that you do know what you're talking about and you do know how the systems work because you were the one designing it, you were the one prototyping it.
When you win, say nothing. When you lose, say even less.
And we say on our team it's 50-50, right? 50% mentors, 50% students. We're coworkers. One thing you'll see a lot, I call my students. I don't call them kids. They're not kids, they're coworkers, right? We call each other by first name because we're working together towards a common goal. We all want to win a big blue banner or go home with an award or whatever that may be. So we're working together. We both have this common goal. You know, some people do it different. Right? Some people want fully student-led, and some people want mentors design and the students just drive it. To each his own. We feel that the students get more out of it for a longer long-term life experience when they're working with us hand in hand on a project as if they were a coworker of ours. And some of the students I'd hire if I could. If I had enough spots, I'd hire a bunch of them to work at a company for me. I can't hire all of them. I hire some though. So.
Questions, comments?
Sorry.
Concerns?
Rant.
Okay, soapbox down. All right, so.
You didn't even go into the good.
What?
You didn't even go into the good.
Oh, I didn't
You said the bad.
No, we kind of talked about the good, the fact that our
Yeah.
students and mentors are more inspired. We get more recognition from our school. Grand Blanc Community Schools has never been unsupportive of us, but we don't build at our school. We build at a machine shop. And we're not school employees, so we don't have that advantage. So we're a really unique situation when it comes to the education system incorporating itself into our team.
And none of our mentors work at our facility either, right? Like our
Where we go.
Yeah, we have like key access. We can go there whenever we want. We've had it for 10 years. first time I met the guy, he's like, will this work? And I'm like, yeah, this would be great. It's like, okay, here's a key, lock up on your way out, and we've had it ever since. So,
I forgot one more good thing with the side effects of success. The facility where you build puts your sign on, or your logo on their sign.
This year, the company, they had to change their, or not change it, but they were putting up a new sign for them, and we're on 25% of that sign with our team logo and everything next to theirs. So
it's super cool.
They didn't tell us
our
about
logo's
it,
like this big on the front of a business.
Yeah. And but the other thing is, like I said, with this, like I said, the success and everything like that, it also breeds more success because you want more. But you have to start somewhere, and you have to have those smaller goals to achieve those and keep growing. To with success comes more success. It's just the way it works. Like you gotta win 3 matches in a row, right? That's to start your success, and then you gotta win all your matches at an event, and then you can win in the quarters, win in the semis, then win the finals, then win an event, right? Like, so it takes progression, but you have to work and build on that. Once again, it's never a final design.
Never, ever.
I feel like I'm taking over your
Nope, you're good.
presentation.
All right, so big thing: work hard in silence and let success be your noise. We tell our students this a lot. Every event when I make a student schedule, I put inspirational quotes on there, and a lot of these that I've pulled from things that I've actually told my students. And one thing that we kind of talk with our students about is you don't have to be like, hey, Clint, Brandi, I built this thing. Isn't it cool? Isn't it pretty? We'll see it work. When you make improvements to the intake on the robot, and now we are able to pick up balls faster, or you add a little piece of plastic and it allows us to hold 20 more balls, we're going to see that in the performance of our robot. When you practice your chairman's presentation so that you can give it without your script the third time that we're going through the run through, these kind of things. When you're the photography person, you make this amazing video to showcase the things that your team is proud of doing. We're going to notice those things, and your team's going to notice those things, and other teams are going to notice those things. EngiNerds don't really like to toot our own horn much. We work really, really hard to achieve what we achieve. And we want to share what we've learned and the experiences and the knowledge that we've gained with other people, because there was a time when I didn't know what to do and you didn't know what to do, how to lead a team or how to organize things. And we had teams like the Killer Bees, particularly Team Rush, and other teams in the first community that inspired us to be better mentors, that inspired us to improve our team. And now that we're at a point where we can share this with other people, that's all we want to do. We want to offer you one little tiny bit of information even that will help you make your team better, right? Because the students and the mentors and the parents, that's why we do this, right? I don't do robotics because it's like my favorite thing in the world. I do it because inspiring people is my favorite thing in the world, right? I don't build robots. And I still think my job on the EngiNerds is important, even though I don't build that robot. And I try to give everything that I can of myself and my skills and my talents to make the EngiNerds more successful. And there's something in you, whether you're a parent, whether you're a mentor, whether you're a student, that can make your team more successful too. It's just about finding what that is and lending your talents as much as you can for as long as you can, as inspirationally as you can. Right? So, I'm teaching more workshops. I've got 2 more presentations that I'm going to get through in the next hour and 10 minutes. But for any of you guys who are interested, the day after kickoff, so that'll be Sunday, January 7th, 2018, here in that building right over there. The EngiNerds take over Kettering University, and we host a robot quick build workshop. I teach team organization, awards applications. This year we're adding and developing a scouting system workshop. Clint does the best strategy dictates design presentation you will ever hear, ever. He's amazing at strategy, and the reason that the EngiNerds have become as successful as we are is because of the work that he does. And so he does a big strategy dictates design session, all that. And then if you bring your kit of parts chassis, like the box with all the parts in it, you leave with a moving robot on day 2 for free.
Yeah. So one of the big thing is we have veteran teams who will come out to the strategy dictates design portion to listen to the talk. We talk about that year's game. We go through some of the nuances of some of the rules and dissect it a little bit, and even use like kind of a more interactive, if people have questions of rules and clarification, we talk about it all in that room. I think last year we had like 500 to 600 people in that room.
728 people.
Okay, 728
Not that
people.
I counted.
In the room to talk about that. So it's very cool to kind of have a lot of people in that room to talk about the game, and it's being so fresh and new. And then the kit parts chassis build, like a lot of you know, obviously are veterans. What some veteran teams will do is they'll send their new students who've never maybe built a robot, they're rookie students, and they'll send them there to build that chassis. Even if they don't plan to use that chassis as their main chassis, they'll build it there, so it kind of gives them some experience. And you can do it the second day. Now it is on a Sunday, which is kind of tough, but like I said, you can leave with that moving chassis and experience.
It's about 6 hours, and you leave with a complete understanding of the game.
It's longer. Like once registration, we go from like 8 to 5. It's like an 8-hour day total.
It's like 9. Anyway, the schedule's up there on the website. Team2337.com/workshop. If you are interested in coming, you can actually register for it now if you want to register your team for it.
There's no fee.
It's free. You'll leave with a moving robot. You will learn how to mechanically assemble the chassis. You'll wire it. We provide you with a board and teach all of your students how to properly wire everything. Last year we used the Anderson connectors, taught everyone how to use the Anderson connectors, and we provide all of the materials for the workshop, and then you also learn how to deploy default code. We teach your coders how to update your laptops.
Real quick on it. We don't teach coding.
Nope, we teach you how to deploy default code.
Yes, and we don't teach you like how to add other mechanisms to your robot. We teach you how to get your motors and stuff up and running and operating. Like it is a pure like, we're cutting through all the junk and we're only taking out the stuff we need to build this rolling chassis, and that's it.
So that was just the first seminar that Brandi and Clinton did at Kettering Kickoff, and there are 2 more on their way. We're going to do those the next 2 weeks, so stay tuned to the Robozone podcast. I want to thank Clinton and Brandi Bollinger from 2337, the EngiNerds out of Grand Blanc, Michigan, for giving us the time and opportunity to tape these to help educate and inform all the other mentors, students, and anyone else that's interested in robotics. The season is right around the corner, and we're in the middle of FTC season right now. I want to thank you for listening to the Robozone podcast. Again, we will see you next week.
The Robozone podcast is brought to you by Kettering University. It's a Kettering-built world. Thanks for listening to the Robozone podcast with your host, Pete Ekman. Find us online at robozonetv.com and on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram.